evening and welcome to the NewsHour Agenda. I'm Madhavdas. After Times Network got you the sensational Operation Sheesh Mahal, we bring you another super exclusive Operation Cocktail, which will expose how the Aam Aadmi was forced to pay 2,000 crore rupees by the Khas Sarkar. We will reveal how liquor barons were allegedly given fee waivers by the Delhi government while we were battling for our lives in the midst of the pandemic. We will reveal what exactly are the findings of the CAG and what has led it to peg the figure of 2,002 crore rupees as loss for the failed excise policy of the Delhi government. We will also unravel for you the complex trail of fee waivers, lack of approval and outright quote-unquote mismanagement which has landed Kejriwal's key aides Manish Sisodia and Sanjay Singh in jail. Let's start first with a breakup of this figure of 2,002 crore loss, and then we will reveal how the CAG arrived at this figure. Let's go first to this particular table, which details how lapses at various levels led to this cumulative loss. If we can bring up that table very quickly, this is what we're talking about. Now, the total loss is at 2,002.68 crores. The total loss due to not taking timely permission is at 941.53 crores. The loss due to not doing retendering of surrendered zones is at 890.15 crore rupees. The loss due to irregular grant of waiver to zonal licensees for COVID, 144 crores. Loss due to incorrect collection of security deposit from zonal licensees is 27 crores. As per the CAG report is what we are quoting over here. This is the figures that we bring you right from this report. We're also going to get you the first breakup. The charge is that the timely permissions were not taken. Now, this had led to 941.51 crore loss, as we explained earlier, and this is why. This 941.5 crore loss was due to the master plan of Delhi in 2007, which banned liquor shops in non-conforming areas. Excise policy mandated 2 vends in each ward, even in non-conforming areas. The liquor licensees, therefore, were allotted in August of 2021 without DDA or MCD's clearance, and on the 16th of November 2021, DDA stopped the liquor vends in the non-conforming areas. The licensees then approached the High Court, which gave exemption from license fee. 114.5 crores is the monthly exemption, which meant that a cumulative loss was of 941.53 as per the CAG report. The second charge by the CAG is that there was an 890.15 crore loss because the excise department did not retender the licenses which were surrendered. And here's why. The 890 crore loss was due to the 19 licensees who surrendered their licenses before the policy was scrapped. However, the excise department didn't initiate retendering processes for that, and consequently, no excise revenue was collected as license fee. The CAG says that this is reflective of mismanagement by the excise department. The CAG also says that the excise department failed to add a clause for such eventuality. Moving on to the third charge. This is that there was a 144 crore rupee loss due to irregular grant of license fee waiver. And this is what explains it. The licensees sought the waiver in license fee, particularly due to COVID. The Excise and Finance Department refused to grant a waiver. Also, of course, a commercial risk lies with the licensee is a reason that was given. The second reason is that such pre-bid meetings, no such provisions were kept in that place. Also, the third reason is that no waiver for low sales in lockdown or odd even days. The fourth reason is that in some zones, liquor sale or zones sale of liquor had increased. However, the excise minister, Sisodia, rejected this report. They were granted waiver for a closed vend from 23rd December 21 to 27 January 22. Manish Sisodia cited the fee waiver by government to restaurants in lockdown. The CAG says that the waiver given before approval from the Council of Ministers. There's another charge that's being given. The fourth one is that there was a 27 crore loss due to the wrong collection of security deposits by the excise. Sisodia. Now, this loss, as per the policy, is due to the fact that security deposit was 25% of the annual license fee. However, this was delayed in the rollout of the policy to mid-November of 2021, and therefore the licensee fee was charged on pro rata basis, not annual. Excise Department didn't cancel licenses for non-payment of license fees, and 2 licensees abruptly surrendered the license, didn't pay the fee. CAG says that this led to 17.46 crores in pending dues to Excise Department by March 22, and then another licensee didn't pay 9.8 crores due as well. This is as per the CAG report. So to sum it up, here they are the key takeaways from the CAG report. Takeaway 1, 941.53 crore loss borne by Delhi's taxpayers. Takeaway 2, licenses for the vends in areas banned by Delhi's master plan. Takeaway 3, fee waivers given to liquor barons without provision. Takeaway 4 is that Sisodia overruled Excise and Finance Department and gave waivers. Takeaway 5 over here is that fee waivers during COVID when liquor sales went up. Takeaway 6, management and failure to prepare for eventuality. Takeaway 7, commercial risk of licensee transferred to taxpayers. Takeaway 8, no coercive action by the government for non-payment of dues. Now, as expected, the CAG report has sparked a massive political war, with the BJP slamming the AAP Sarkar for causing losses worth thousands of crores. The India bloc, however, has questioned the timing of the report to allege political vendetta.
We must understand that the Aam Aadmi party's name is based on the Aam Aadmi, which means the common citizen. They came on the promise of they will eliminate corruption and serve the people. What are they doing? They seem to be serving business entities. They seem to be serving maybe their own self. Now, Mr. Kejriwal is finding excuse after excuse since September, October to avoid the investigation.
The report is coming on the verge of an election. I don't know what is the timing over there. What is the timing of the CAG report? Vendetta means you see 9 times you have given, the ED is giving summons to Kejriwal ji. They want that Arvind Kejriwal ji should not be there for propaganda or campaigning during the election. They want to bring him, keep him behind the bar.
You're watching the News Hour at 10. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
More of this, let's go right across to our spokespersons, our panelists, in fact, joining us. We have Amit Tiwari, spokesperson of the BJP. Shubhrashta is author and founder of The Churn. Syed Asad Abbas is a political analyst. We also have with us Dr. Piyush Joshi, political analyst. With us also is Rawula Sridhar Reddy, spokesperson of the BRS. Let me start with you first and foremost, Dr. Piyush Joshi. It's very clear. The CAG report points to several lapses. They're talking about huge losses, and these losses are to the tune of 2,002 crore rupees. What explains the fact that several waivers were granted to these owners of these liquor companies at a time when the common citizens were actually suffering due to COVID? One of the facts that comes out is that perhaps the government was being a little too lenient with these liquor manufacturers or liquor companies.
It is government job to be lenient with all the business personnel. And if you want to increase the ease of doing business, you have to be lenient in tough times. So, and it is well within the rights of the duly elected government to grant waivers after following the due procedures. Now, the first, I've been hearing, your introductory remarks. So the first remark that the CAG report mentioned is around 950 odd crores. And it has been mentioned that it is a revenue loss. It was because of the directions of the Honorable High Court of Delhi that these license fees were returned. So, do you mean to say that Honorable High Court is hand in glove with Mr. Arvind Kejriwal?
No,
and
I think
Honorable
that
High Court
no,
is
no, no.
responsible.
So one second. They approach the High Court. Any citizen can, but the permission that was to be taken from the DDA and the MCD was not taken by the state government. So that is a failure of governance, very clearly, sir.
Now, let me bell the cat here. Now, what was happening before this new policy was instituted. Whether these non-conforming areas had liquor shops or not before this new liquor policy? Do we know about that? There were the liquor shops which were operating in those areas, in non-conforming areas. Sorry?
You tell us, do you have information whether they were operating or not?
Yes, of course. There were liquor shops operating. And why the permissions were not granted for these liquor shops in non-conforming areas? Because these non-conforming areas means that these areas are residential as well as marketplaces. Both the areas are there in these wards. And that is why the permissions are not there. So what does the Arvind Kejriwal government do? The Arvind Kejriwal government says that these are 67 wards in total, that 134 shops, two shops or two vents per ward. were to be opened. So these shops are going to be opened in authorized marketplaces in those areas.
Let me bring in Subrashta. Subrashta, do you buy this explanation? Do you buy this explanation? Earlier also there were lapses like this that used to happen. Why is it being pointed out only now?
Madhav, I want to understand what is the Aam Aadmi Party's official, line on this. And if this is the official line, why have we not heard about it till now? People like us have been demanding right from day one that if a liquor policy was put in place, it was taken back, it was reintroduced, there has to be an official communique from the government and from the party explaining the dilly-dally stand of the Delhi government. None of this has come into light. And this explanation is such a shoddy explanation that these liquor shops were not operating in residential areas and all of that, as if residential areas in Delhi do not consume alcohol, as if residential areas in Delhi earlier when liquor was being, sold, whenever it was being sold legally, it was a problem. Please, let's not look for problems where there are none. Either the Arvind Kejriwal government is absolutely against alcohol, or it is against, or it is pro-alcohol being sent by certain parties. That's something that is up for debate, and that is where the problem is. Madhav, let us understand. Event after event in Arvind Kejriwal's government exposes the deep melee of corruption that lies in his government. And I think it's a part of Aam Aadmi Party's DNA. People are coming to know about it. Every time something happens, they start crying foul about elections. They say the timing is suspect. They say, Arvind Kejriwal is also powerful, omnipresent, that everybody is after him. But the point is, if before 9 months, when the first time this, sort of scandal, India woke up to this scandal, if the Arvind Kejriwal government would have come out and explained itself, the general elections mood would not have been hampered by this so-called Arvind Kejriwal, being taken on by the hegemonic force that the BJP is.
Okay, let me bring in Syed Abbas.
All of these issues, because I know I won't get enough time after this.
Yeah. But let me bring in Syed Abbas very quickly. And Syed Abbas, apart from the fact that, the correct areas where these particular events were to be set up was not done, etc., the retendering of surrendered zones was not done, which led to a loss of revenue of about 890.15 crores is concerned. How is that explained? Why was the retendering not done?
Madhav Saab, what I last heard was there will be an official standing from the Aam Aadmi Party, which will follow tomorrow. But I'd like to bring to your notice what transpired in the High Court today. When Arvind Kejriwal ji was asked by the Honorable High Court, why is he not attending to the 9th summon given by the Enforcement Directorate? As represented by Shri Abhishek Manu Singhvi ji, he has stated he's not a common criminal. He's running a government here. He's a citizen of this country, and he's deeply rooted here, and he's not running away. If he is promised to be there physically, online or offline, as required by ED, but unless and until he's protected against arrest, for which court has duly heard the matter and will shortly resume with the hearing, and the pronounce will come through. Therefore, Madhav Saab, the point I'd like to derive here is, time and again, ED has been used as a complete machinery of the dirty tricks department of the BJP to use against all these opposition leaders, be it Kalvakuntla Kavitha, be it Hemant Soren, Arvind Kejriwal, and the rest of the others. This is absolutely not good for democracy. The same BJP in the UPA time that, this was called the caged parrot, the party with the difference, the Bharatiya Janata Party is doing the same.
But the same Kejriwal, on the basis of papers that he would put out, would demand arrest of ministers in the UPA government. Now, however, the standards change is also a question that many would ask, and you haven't answered the question that I put to you, by the way. But I'm going to allow Amit Tiwari, spokesperson of the BJP, also with us on the panel. Amit Tiwari, would you like to respond to what Syed Abbas is saying? He says that this is misuse of the agencies. This is the argument that is repeatedly used by, of course, various opposition parties which are facing probes. In this particular case, also the questioning is of the timing of this particular CAG report. Please respond on both those counts. Amit Tiwari.
No, I have three things to say. First of all these opposition parties did go to the Supreme Court collectively, stating that yes, ED and CBI are being misused. They are being launched against the opposition parties. The government of various states are being toppled on the strength of the ED and CBI. And what did the Honorable Supreme Court say? See, parties may level allegations against each other, but the country is ruled by the rule of law. And the Supreme Court said that there is no substance in your petition and in fact dismissed the petition on the very first day. Subsequently, ED itself released a press note whereby it has categorically said that only 2%, 1.98% cases pertain to the political leaders. Rest 98% cases are not against political identities. Number one. Number two, it was the case of Sanjay Singh himself that when he was arrested, he filed a petition before the Delhi High Court. He stated that yes, because of the political vendetta, I am being prosecuted, I am being sent to jail. The court rejected the argument very categorically and said that there is no substance, the allegations leveled are baseless, and each of the cases is to be decided on its own merits. The court will have to see whether you have committed offence or not, and thereafter his bail application was dismissed. So the third submission that I am going to make is about the timing of the ED raids and the actions. Now let me tell you, in this country every year at least 3 to 5 legislative assemblies election do take place. Now every year all these opposition parties and all parties across the country, whether they are regional parties or national parties, they do participate in those elections. So whenever any action will be taken by the ED or the CBI, they will always come out and say that now because the elections are going to be held in Delhi or Haryana or Rajasthan or Chhattisgarh, therefore we are being targeted. So merely because elections are due, the elections will be decided by the people of this country. Democracy will prevail. The action by the ED will be checked, will be scrutinized by the courts, and the courts are not off.
Let me bring in Ravula Sridhar Reddy. Ravula Sridhar Reddy, your party also was at the receiving end of some action by the ED a few days ago. And in this particular case, of course, with this CAG report coming in, perhaps more questions as far as the governance and, of course, what exactly has happened in terms of misgovernance, rather, by the AAP government in Delhi that are being raised by the CAG report.
Madhav, if really one has to file cases or book cases based on the CAG reports in this country, probably every chief minister or a council of ministers of respective states will have to be facing cases. I mean, these CAG observations based on the standard pre-laid conditions. They are not on the practical. So they are not based on the practical situation. For example, if a irrigation contract is given for a year of 9 months or 1 year, if the is not done in 9 months, then government will give an EOT, then a new SSR will come, the cost will get escalated. But CAG might observe saying that, if you would have completed in 9 months, the cost would have not been, these are the things generally, you can see in CAG. If that is, but based on CAG, you cannot make assumptions that, that is truth. The government has to make corrections, come in for the rescue of the, vendors or whomever it is for that matter, on demand based on the realistic conditions. It is the responsibility of the government to protect every citizen or every businessman or every system and situation based on the prevailing situation. So CAG cannot be taken into a standard report for making or filing cases, number one. Number two, why we are saying these cases are politically motivated. Fine, now you have arrested Kavitha ji, we have challenged in the court that the arrest is illegal, and all the court posted the case pre and posted it for 22nd for hearing. I have only one question to BJP. Why only the cases which are booked on opposition leader are active? I only take 10 seconds of you. Bhavna Gavli, Yashwant Jadhav, Pratap Sarnaik, these three were there in Uddhav Thackeray's faction. And ED filed cases on them. The moment they joined Shinde faction, all cases now, the ED is silent. No action, no arrest, no summoning. Why this selective targeting?
This selective targeting, it's become a washing machine, is a charge that has been leveled earlier as well. Amit Tiwari, respond to that. And also he says that, and he has a point when he says that the CAG is looking into governance issues. This does not automatically mean criminality. That's the argument from their side. Please respond.
No, let me tell you the relevancy of CAG report. See, the domain of CAG is because in every ministry, in every government, at the beginning of the financial year, they come out with a budget. There are demands for grant. Say, for example, they take 1,000 crore rupees for some expenditure. The job of the CAG is whether that money is spent in accordance with law, rules, GFR and everything or not. Today, the CAG has come out with a report that at the beginning when the excise policy was being launched, it was projected that we will collect revenue to the extent of 9,500 crores because we are going to fix the loopholes. Now, when this entire policy was executed for 9 months, ultimately it resulted loss into the revenue, and therefore the CAG itself held that despite the fact that there is an increase in sale of liquors, the revenue is lost to the government. Now I respond to his second question. Therefore the CAG is relevant, and it is not the CAG. CAG will only see whether it is regularly done or there are some irregularities in expending or execution of the policy.
Okay.
Whether it amounts to criminality, whether any crime has been committed or scam has been committed, is not a domain of the CAG, but is the domain of the specialized agencies such as ED or CBI. So therefore, even in fact, if you look at the ED charge sheet, they are also claiming to the loss of to the extent of 2,800 crores. Now coming back to the second question, which my friend was talking about, that there is a selective approach undertaken by the ED. Let me clarify at the very outset that we are not representing ED. I am not a spokesperson for ED. But let them point out that somebody joined the Bharatiya Janata Party, and thereafter the ED has closed the matter, filed a closure report accepted by the court. All those matters against whosoever, and whosoever may it be from any party, whether Bharatiya Janata Party or Congress or any other opposition party, the ED is taking action in accordance with law. They are free to take action, and nobody's case is closed. Time will come, they will also have to face the
Madhav, again, Amit ji is speaking about governance. These are all unrealistic and unreasonable. Okay, governments have to take the prevailing conditions into consideration, then make changes to the policy that generally they keep it in process. So based on CAG, nothing can be taken as standard. Yes, this is an observation. Governments to take some corrective actions based on it.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, BJP will never answer this selective targeting. He's saying that, ED approached the court, they have closed. No, the names I gave you, after that, after joining Shinde faction, no summons, no investigation, nothing. Their spokespersons named, rather termed Sujana Chaudhary and CM Ramesh as Andhra Malyas.
Okay.
ED gave a press note saying that they have actually evaded taxes in hundreds of crores.
Right.
They are scot-free. They are roaming in the,
Let me just quickly come in now.
Prime Minister.
Yes. Well, we've asked that question. We've just repeated that question now. And let me quickly bring in now Dr. Piyush Joshi. Dr. Piyush Joshi, I also want to bring in some context to this. In December of 2019, Arvind Kejriwal in Vidhan Sabha cited CAG figures as an endorsement of Delhi government's good governance. The question there is that now Aam Aadmi Party says that CAG is wrong. How is that possible?
Nobody is saying that CAG is wrong. Did you hear anybody saying CAG is wrong?
So CAG
All I'm trying to say,
CAG is right. 2,000 crores of misgovernance has happened.
It is not about 2,000 crores of misgovernance. I can explain it to you point by point. I can. If you'll hear me out, I'll explain everything to you. The problem with NDMC and DDA were that the MCD and DDA were under the Union Home Ministry. So they refused the permission for half the vents that were supposed to open. 849 vents were going to be operational. So when the MCD and DDA revoked permission to open in non-conforming zones, they reduced the number of vents to half. And that is why the license fee collected was reduced to reduced by 3,000 crores, 2,280 crores to be precise. And that is why the loss of revenue was there. And to say that, why didn't you go for the retendering for the same zones? So that again you follow the process where the licenses have been surrendered. You go for retendering so that the new licensees are going to surrender their licenses again, because the MCD and DD are not going to allow them to open the vents in the non-conforming zones, even when it is the marketplace. So that is why, MCD and DDA had an vengeful attitude
with
the Delhi government.
Subhashta's on another call. Amit Tiwari would like to respond to that.
Open mohalla clinics, they did the same thing.
Amit Tiwari.
Yes, I'll definitely like to respond, because now the issue has come back to the original policy as to how the scam has taken place. Let me demonstrate in very simple language as to how the scam did take place. Even before the policy was formulated, few of the cabinet ministers such as Satinder Jain and other MPs who were involved in the formulation of the policy, they sat with those people from whom they took kickbacks. Now there were three kinds of people. One, the wholesaler, the other, the stockist, Wholesaler will deliver the goods to the stockists. Stockist will give it to the retailers. There were 32 zones. What did they do? First of all, they allowed that stockist can also be a retailer. So what happened? Somebody, if I am a stockist, I have also got some shops as a retailer. So what transpired subsequently, I'll come to non-conforming zones in a subsequent aspect. What transpired is, since I am a stockist, in my zone, I will not supply liquor bottles to other retailers, but rather supply to me only in my retail shop. This led to a situation that in one zone, only retailers who are stockists also had the liquor, but the others did not. Therefore, they surrendered. And that is precisely the allegation that why did you not go for retendering? Number one.
We'll have to leave it there. We'll have to leave it there. Amit Tiwari, we'll have to leave it there because clearly it's a very, very complex issue when it comes to governance and the legalities surrounding it. But certainly the CAG report raises some very, very serious and valid concerns. Amit Tiwari, Subrashta, Syed Asad Abbas, Dr. Piyush Joshi, as well as Ravula Sridhar Reddy. I'd like to thank all of you for joining.